Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining me and my very special guest. She is one of the entertainment industry's favorite comedians. You know her from her show-stopping performances in such musicals as Hairspray, Xanadu, The Addams Family, On the Town, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Once Upon a Mattress, and Fiddler on the Roof. And from her critically acclaimed solo shows at Joe's Pub, and most recently from her Emmy-nominated turn as Mamacita opposite Jessica Lange and Susan Sarandon in FX's Feud, Betty and Joan, and from Ryan Murphy's latest series, The Politician. And now this coming Sunday afternoon, March 21st at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, she'll be doing her virtual concert with Seth Rudetsky as part of his Seth concert series that streams right here at BroadwayWorld. Please say hello to Jackie Hoffman.
What an intro. Thank you. Do you purposely, with each guest, put shows they've been in right behind your head?
I try to pull them out of my closet of my window cards. So I had Xanadu, I have On the Town, I have the original Fiddler, because I know.
I have that album.
Because you were brought up, I think you called it the Yellow Album, right?
Yes.
Which we all go. Jackie, thank you so much for doing this today. I know we're all having these internet issues with everything else. And it's like, but we're here. I know, totally. I'm Ethernetted, you're Ethernetted. I'll tell you, the look behind you looks fabulous. I love the little window you sort of do these in. Your apartment looks fabulous.
Thank you. It's my art wall, and the paint color is called Habanero.
I love this, because I remember reading a piece you did in the New York Times when I think you had your friends go with you to the paint stores, right? To figure out the colors you were going to do for your apartment?
Probably. I need friends to decide anything for me. I'm incapable of making any decisions.
I love it. Well, first of all, how are you and where are you? Like, how have you been weathering the storm for the past year? What's it been like for you?
Well, I call it the 3 W's: wine, weed, and workout videos. And that's what's been getting me through. Lots of TV, nothing admirable. The right answer would be, well, I'm written so much. I wrote a screenplay and a book. I haven't done anything.
But you're honest. I think that's really great.
Yeah.
Because now that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, the vaccines are rolling out. There seems to be something getting ready to happen. Do you have better days now? Do you have better days? Do you still have bad days? Like, what is it like for you, like right now, like this week?
Well, I believe there's hope. I have been doing, and I have been luckier than most throughout this in certain ways, because I got recurring on a couple of TV shows that I'm not supposed to talk about. And, I've been trying to keep basically busy. But yeah, it's kind of exciting and frightening. Now I don't feel capable of going back into the world.
Yeah, we too.
I'm used to being frozen on this couch.
Yeah. Have you been vaccinated yet? Have you been able to get the vaccine?
I got my first shot, so I've been vaxxed, but not inated.
I love that. That should be the name of your new show. Because, you are known for your solo shows, not just at Joe's Pub, but all around the country and everything else. But, with the theater getting ready to come back, I mean, how excited are you? Like, what do you think it's all going to look like? And are you excited about going in front of live audiences again, doing your show?
Yes, of course. I mean, I get anxious about everything. I wouldn't call it excited. I'd just call it just abject terror. But yeah, there's excitement too. I mean, I'm excited about this Sunday. It's a good warm up to get back in. And I don't know what it's going to be. I mean, I know it was already a madhouse trying to get into the theater with the security check with the purses. And now I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be filled to a lower capacity or what they're going to do, or it'll be interesting to see how they handle it.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have a lot of material, I would think, from this year for whatever you call your new show. And we're all going to be there at Joe's Pub when that happens, just so you know.
If Joe's Pub is there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they'll be back. I think everyone will come back slowly, but it's just, we've been locked down for a year. I mean, isn't that bizarre when you think about it?
Yeah, very. I mean, it's like something that was supposed to happen in someone else's lifetime, not mine.
Yeah. Beautifully put. I love that. Well, this coming Sunday afternoon, March 21st at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you're going to be live with Seth Rudetsky as part of his Seth concert series. Like, I'm going to use that word excited again, but I mean, I'm sure I know what's going on because you've got sound equipment to set up. They send you the Seth box and all this stuff to download. Like, what's this week been like prepping for Sunday?
Well, without my husband, I'd be lost. He set up those fakakta lights, and that was like a thing. And, they helped me yesterday with the sound. So hopefully that'll work out. If not, we'll just.
Well, not only are you a performer now, you have to be a lighting designer.
I know all this tech stuff it's a nightmare. It's so not me. I'm like a 90-year-old with this stuff, and I can't believe the stuff that's been thrown at me to do.
But it's like you have to do everything. Everyone who's done this, like you're the stage manager, it's like, oh my gosh, I've got to find a place in my house. Like, where in your house have you set up as your stage? Like, where are you going to do Sunday's concert from?
Well, where I am right now, I have the 2 Klieg lights they gave me on. I dialed them to warm. Let's hope that helps. And my computer's on my coffee table. I got to join Local 1 now.
Totally. You can change everything on your resume to all these extra skills you have now.
It's right. I'll wear a lot of keys. I'll get a comfy chair and put it in a corner of backstage. And just be mean to everybody.
Fabulous. What are some of the songs you're going to be doing Sunday? Like, what can you tell us without giving too much away? Like, what have you decided to do?
Well, there are some old chestnuts from the album Live at Joe's Pub. There are some new things that I'm really excited about from my last show at Joe's Pub, Themeless. So we're just mixing it up. There's something to offend everybody.
Right. But I want to talk to you about that because comedians are all being like held on the carpet now. It's like no one can be funny anymore. And like, you're a comedian. And I mean, like, what are your thoughts on all of that?
I know. I'm glad you asked me that. I mean, I was offensive in better times when not everybody was offended by everything. I mean, now it's literally impossible. I just have to accept that I appeal to a very narrow audience, and sadly now it's going to become even narrower. And I think what's happening is even people in the theater are not as open-minded. I mean, there were things I did at Joe's Pub, and it was all, of course, how that audience is, and it became, and I sensed it, there were certain things they didn't laugh at. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. So I'm appalled by what's happening. I think it's just awful. Yeah.
No, because I was brought up like you were. Don Rickles, Joan Rivers, I mean, Toby Fields. I mean, I'm obsessed. I have Amazon Prime and I watch all the old Dean Martin roasts, and they could never get away with that stuff today. But it was great stuff to listen to. But I just wanted to get your take on that because that's what you do. And I thought to myself, like when you're writing a show, it's like, do you have to think about what people are going to think, or you're just going to say, I'm just going to write this and do this because this is who I am?
Right. Yeah. I mean, in the creative process, you just have to spew out everything and not cut any jokes. And then, when you craft it and put it together, you have to think, okay, where do we have to be careful? Where do we have to be like, I'm just brave? The opening number of my last show at Joe's Pub was called Join the Conversation. And it's about everybody's pressuring us to join the conversation, but yet we can't say anything.
Yeah, totally. Well, I can't wait to see your first show back, but your audience expects you to do Jackie Hoffman. I mean, that's what they expect you to do.
It's true, but I think people are afraid now, which is really sad. Everybody's, it's this Twitter judgy, everyone's the moral and ethical judge now. And so everybody's, I mean, it's sad. People are literally afraid. So can we laugh at that? Can we laugh at that? I mean, every comic is going through this now.
Yeah. It just must feel really great to be putting a show together for Sunday. I mean, I know you've been working a bit, but just being creative again and like,
Yeah, I mean, early on, through someone that the musical director at Yiddish Fiddler had a connection to these Jewish nursing homes, and my husband and I did a Jewish nursing home show in the living room, and it was so sweet, and it was really one of the most rewarding things. It was a highlight of the year. You know, they pipe it into their rooms. I don't know how many additional deaths I've caused, but it was a rewarding, nice thing to do.
See, that's great because it's just like giving back. And it's like people who were creative wanted to know what they could do, you know, to give back to people. Everyone was on, you know, they were all on a lockdown, and the nursing homes were in worse shape because all anybody could really do if you were like on the first floor is like your family could be outside the window and you could only put your hand up to it. So, I mean, I'm sure that gave you so much joy with you and your husband of going there and doing and just entertaining them that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to talk about Fiddler because that production of Fiddler on the Roof, like I said, I got the yellow album behind me, which, you know, we were all brought up on Long Island and we all had this album. But this is the most authentic production of Fiddler ever. And that was the first Broadway show I saw. And I remember everything about sitting in the Majestic Theater. I know the smell of the theater, looking at the Boris Aronson sets, everything about that. And I had that same reaction when I first saw you all off Broadway downtown. I cried through the whole entire show. I mean, there's just something. What was it like for you? How life-changing was the role of Yenta and being a part of that production directed by Joel Grey?
It was, I mean, I'm happy to say that I think every role I've had has been life-changing in some way because it's this experience that you get. And this was very special because of the attachment to my roots and my mom, who was, you know, who got to see it. And then after she, you know, a few months after she saw it, she became very ill and passed away slowly. And she passed away the Sunday after closing night. She passed on, and she adored Yiddish and always wanted me to learn Yiddish. So that I was able to give that as like a final gift to her was an immeasurable thing. And it just was, it was just such a cool, like it was so, a Yiddish fiddler is, the concept is so unhip that it became the hippest thing ever. So it was just in so many ways. And it was just incredibly rewarding. And Joel, of course, is lovely. It was a thrill to get to work with him.
Because I know he loves this show. And I understand that you rehearsed the scenes in English first.
Right. So we would get like the emotional nature of the scene, and then we would lay the Yiddish on top.
What a brilliant idea to do it. I mean, just, it makes total sense, but that Joel do it that way.
It probably came out of necessity, because if we did it in Yiddish, Joel wouldn't have understood it.
Totally. Because I love this. So many of you didn't speak Yiddish. Did you learn it phonetically?
I knew a little of it, but very little. And yes, learned it phonetically. But when everybody has different studying techniques. And when I studied it with the meaning attached to each word, not just the sound. So which would help me remember it.
Okay, now did the gentleman who played Muttle in your show, his name is Ben?
Ben Liebert, yeah.
He was one of my favorite Muddles. I always cry in the scene when he wants to ask Temia for Zeidel's hand right before he does his big number. And I just bawl my eyes out. He's brilliant. Did he give you your tapes? Did he do the dialogue for you that you learned from him? Did he lay down the Yiddish for you to learn?
Who, Ben?
Yeah.
No, we had Yiddish coaches who it's a translation. The original translation in Yiddish came from an Israeli man, and I believe Shraga Friedman, I think is his name, and it was done in Israel, but not very successful. And his daughter actually came to the States and saw it several times, and she loved it. And that's the translation we based it on. Wow.
Because it's funny because it's great when you know the show inside out, because I didn't end up looking at
it in anything,
I didn't look at the translation. I was like, this show, Richard, you've seen it a million times. So I felt like, and then I walked out of it figuring that I knew Yiddish, because you knew what you called kitchen Yiddish, right?
Yes, that's what my mother used to call kitchen Yiddish, right.
That's great. Well, you're also wonderful. Is there a favorite memory? I guess the best memory is doing it for your mom. I mean, that's got to be the best memory of doing this fiddler is doing it for your mom.
Yes, and yes, there were many pleasant memories. There was one night we had an audience of refugees,
Yeah.
and we had a talk back with them, and it was just fascinating. People from all over the world, from the most non-Jewish, far-reaching corners of the globe, and it struck everyone so personally. And you'd think, like, Yiddish, you'd think has an audience of 4 people, and they're
Yeah.
all over 97, and
Yeah.
it's got such a small appeal. But this proved that it's just miracle of miracles. I mean, it appealed massively to so many people.
Yeah.
They were going to bring it to China. Did you know that? Well, you know everything.
Well, I just knew this from Hal Prince and everything else that, that the productions of Fiddler that have played around the world, I think it was the most popular musical ever in China. And Hal was like, because they told him, they said, it's about family. It's so universal. It doesn't matter if you're Jewish or Catholic or Baptist or anything. It's about family.
Mm-hmm.
Just really, really brilliant. Going back to Sunday night, it must be really great for you too, because, since you can't go to a live venue right now, your fans that are scattered everywhere just have to buy a ticket and they can all watch your concert in the safety of their home or wherever they are, all at the same time. That must make you feel great.
Yes, I mean, now there's no excuse not to come.
I love that. I want to tell everybody that before we get into some other stuff, the concert is live this Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and there's a replay Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but you must look at your tickets. If you buy a 3 o'clock ticket, you have to watch Jackie live. If you buy a replay ticket, you have to watch her then. All tickets are $28.50. And the nice thing that Seth has just added to his concert series is there is now a student discount available for tickets, which is really great for all these kids that are in high school and college who are trying to learn their craft and everything. You have to register with a student, a .edu email. Use the code STUDENT when signing up for a Broadway World account, and you get a really, really nice discount to these concerts. The series is produced by Mark Cortali. Of course, it's StreamYard and Broadway World are sponsoring this, and the tickets are available at BroadwayWorld.com at Seth Concert Series, or just Google Jackie Hoffman. It'll take you to a ticket site to get tickets to this wonderful concert. Jackie, I want to go back to the beginning for a second. Growing up, what were your earliest theatrical outlets? And, what was your introduction to the theater? Did your parents take you to the theater?
Yes, that would have been it. I grew up a TV kid, but they took me to the theater a lot. I was very lucky. I saw original cast of Chorus Line of Chicago with Gwen and Cheetah. And I think the first straight play they took me to was The Effective Gamma Rays on Man in the Moon Marigolds, starring Joan Blondell, because my dad loved Joan Blondell.
Your parents had great taste.
They did have great taste. They did.
Oh, because I think I have a poster of her in the closet of Joan Blondell. I was obsessed with Joan Blondell too, but it must have been great for you to see her on stage at that little theater. Yes,
it was. I mean, everything they took me to was just put these really stark images in my head, and I'll be infinitely grateful that they schlepped me to all these great things. The first musical was No No Nanette.
Yeah, which was my favorite. I think we had this conversation before. Right. I went to see that Ruby Keeler and Bobby Van and Helen Gallagher and Kelly.
Yeah, played that album to death.
The Purple album.
To death.
That's the Purple and Orange album.
I was like a big vinyl, musical theater kid.
See, we just did the same thing. We just, I ended up rebuying everything. I buy everything at eBay that's still got the plastic on it that I could open it up like I did when I was 12 years old. We bought a stereo system. So I'm reliving my childhood again with my cast albums all over again.
Good.
Who were the biggest showbiz influences of you? Like I know you watch TV. We were all brought up on TV. Like, who were the people who influenced you the most before you started your career?
I guess Jackie Gleason. I used to love the Marx Brothers, Carol Burnett, Dick Van Dyke. Just great, great comics.
Yeah. Was there a defining moment for you when you said, I want to be a performer and try to make a living at this?
I mean, I know I kind of, when I went out to Second City in Chicago in 87 and then started getting paid for it, it was like, oh, I guess I can make a living at this. And then before that, the first gig was Hershey Park in 1981. Plain Jane Wayne, Terror of the Plains, shootout at the Trailblazer Saloon, 6 shows a day.
My God. That is,
yeah, outside with like a thatched roof. So that's actually going to be good practice for what theater's going to be like now.
I love this. You did 6 shows a day
under a tent. Yeah.
You did 6 shows a day at Hershey Park?
Yes. But they weren't 2.5 hours.
No. They were like those people would come in and fill the seats in and you do like whatever it is, a 12-minute show.
On wooden benches, people walking in with cotton candy, kids walking out.
But you must have had the best time, seriously. That must have been a great time for you.
Yeah, it was my first professional theatrical experience, so it was really exciting.
Yeah. Well, you have this incredible, wonderful career on stage, screen, and television. I'd just like to mention a few of the highlights because there are many of them. And just tell me what comes to mind, a fun story or a great memory. You know, so many people were supposed to make their Broadway debuts this past spring, and then the pandemic hit. I mean, we are cameras packed to go to the opening night of 6. I mean, half the cast was already there, had their opening night dresses picked out, and then, you know, everything got shut down. And, you know, Broadway debuts are really special. And of course, you made yours in the iconic musical Hairspray. I mean, you played so many comedic roles in that. You wowed critics and audiences alike. That's when we all first fell in love with you. How magical was your Broadway debut, and what do you remember about your opening night in Hairspray?
Oh gosh. How magical? On like a 1 to 10? I can't stand the word magical. I'm not answering that question.
Okay.
I remember they would do prayer circles, and then I come downstairs, you know, get to the stage for this big moment, and I'm in my first costume, and I see everybody's back, and they're all huddled in the prayer circle. And when it broke up, I said, "You prayed without me!" So thanks, Hairspray. And I remember walking into the dressing room on opening night, and I had never been through an opening night, so I had no idea about the oodles of gifts and crap, and that the room would be filled with flowers and stuff. And it was so thrilling. And I remember my roommate, one of the beautiful Coreens, her name was Brooks, and I said, "Look at all these presents." And she said, "And they're all for you." Should have given her something now that I think about it.
You should have given her a flower. But they're magical. You hate that. I know you hate that word. I just love that word.
All right.
It's a Richard Ridge word. You know that. I'm not going to use that anymore. But there's just something extra special about being in a Broadway theater and like walking through that stage door and signing that board and knowing that you made it there.
Yes, yes. Oh, stop. You're killing me.
Oh, well, you'll be back. You'll be signing the board at Joe's.
I mean, I was slated to do an off-Broadway play at Barrow Street that was supposed to be last winter, and hopefully it'll be this winter. But I was thinking, like, I wasn't in the position because Fiddler closed right before the shutdown, and I'm like thinking of, because I know what that's like, that rehearsal and that endless, and getting up to that opening night and what it is and how special it is, and then to have it yanked. I mean, that would be just devastating. I had actually tickets to Diana, the opening on the 16th of March.
Well, you know, I'll see you on the next carpet somehow. How we're all going to do this, I have no idea. If we're still going to have to wear masks, if I can actually touch you or whatever. It's going to be very interesting. Those first few openings back, people will be like, "Stay back, Richard, stay back 12 feet. You know what I mean? You know, your next musical was Xanadu, which is one of my favorite feel-good musicals. I mean, everybody just fell in love with that show. How much fun was it doing that show for you?
That was a hoot. I mean, me and Mary, and it was just wild. I mean, it was such a funny show. It was just frustrating because it was hard to sell because people thought it would be the movie, and it wasn't the movie. It was this totally different, brilliant thing. And I just loved it. I loved it. I remember I ran into when they were still together, Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman, and I ran into them on the street and they said, "How are you?" And I said, "I'm good. I love my job." And they both had heart attacks and collapsed on the spot. What did you say?
That's a big deal for you to say.
You got it.
No, but Mary Chester said the same thing. She said, Richard, because she hates long runs, Mary. Mary doesn't like long runs. She was like, she had the time of her life with you. And to me, it would just be like, someone like said to you, if you could do like just the most perfect job in the world, 90 minutes, and have the best time singing these songs, they gave you Xanadu.
Yeah, yeah. It was just a confection. It couldn't be more fun. And it was, now that you think of, you're mentioning it and mentioning me and Mary, it's like that, a comedy duo, like an old fashioned,
Yeah.
it was a Martin and Lewis comedy team type of thing. And that's like so special. Nobody does that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, certainly not on Broadway stage.
No, this was old Broadway when you used to have these teams of like women or men that would be like, oh, they're teamed up again. And that's what the great thing about Xanadu was like. You know, then you got to do Andrew Lippa's musical, The Addams Family. And like from the second you hear da-da-da-da, I mean, the audience just howled. And I mean, you took on Grandmama, that iconic role for the TV show and everything else. How much fun was she to do and just be a part of that whole show?
It got more fun. I mean, it was a struggle at first, and all, you know, with struggling with the script and struggling with the character and trying to find the character. And, you know, Nathan helped me, and he just be really old, you know. I mean, it was comedy school between like Jerry Zaks and Nathan. Like comedy school. It was just amazing. And to watch Nathan every night and be out there with Nathan was like, you know, I
Yeah,
mean,
like you said, you had Nathan and Jerry Zaks. I mean, you had the best of all. And like you said, Nathan, so just be old. It's like, I'll throw something fabulous at you. And then you became, you know, Grandmama. But it was just so much fun. You know, then you returned to Broadway in what I call the golden age, which of course is On the Town, which was that beautiful production. I felt like I was taken back to like the 1930s and 40s when you used to go when there was like, you know, 30 people in the cast and a huge orchestra. I mean, this was like old Broadway.
yes, and the maestro James Moore wore a white tie and tail. Don't start me on that. Everything about it was perfect. And my late mother, her favorite part was when they started with the giant flag and the audience stood up and sang the national anthem before the show every night. It was like chills.
All right, because like I said,
about that production was perfect.
all right, but listen, I've been going to Broadway since I was 10 years old. And then there's your performance as Maud P. Dilley, which I used to go and see On the Town. Like I used to tell my husband Preston, I'm like, let's go back to On the Town. And we'd always sit like in the fifth row and stand up and start to sing, you know, the national anthem. But watching you was like watching Carol Burnett or Lucille Ball or someone else.
Thank you.
You were so brilliant.
Chester was nominated for that role. I wasn't.
I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. Because I would have just given it to you. I would have had a Tony here and just given it to you. But your Maud P. Dilley was so brilliant. You never broke up. I just don't know how you got through that show. How did you come up with her? Because that's a brilliant, brilliant character.
Well, thank you. I mean, John Rando was wonderful. And when you get to work with an accent, you know, it's kind of done for you. And I actually found an article in the Times while we were rehearsing about a 94-year-old Viennese voice teacher. So, you know, that was an inspiration.
Is there always someone or something that sets you on your path to like when you're perfecting a role, because you take them to a whole other level? I mean, there are people who do this and then there's you. So I'm just saying, you know, when you put a character together, like you looked at that Viennese, I'm sorry, or it could have been, you know, vocal teacher. Is there something that like you connect to that just takes you up another notch to like, you know, 12?
You know, I'm no Jessica Lange. I kind of work externally. So I let's see, she has an accent, she's drunk, she's, you know, and the biggest helper is the script, really, you know, and what can I do and how can I make this funny? And this isn't a bragging thing, but it's because I'm an incredibly lazy person and lazy performer, and just whatever comes the easiest. And I'm lucky, like a comic character comes the easiest to me once I once I see the script. And again, you know, John Rando's
Oh,
just the best.
yeah, love him. Just everything, like you said, everything about that production was perfection from
Yeah.
everybody in that show, and everyone on that stage had a story. That was the interesting thing. Everybody you saw on the subway, you could
Yeah.
follow them. They had a story.
Yeah.
Working with Jack O'Brien again, your Hairspray director with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I mean, what makes Jack such a wonderful director to work with?
He's this word is overused, not magical, but brilliant. I mean, he's got like an IQ of 1,000. He's incredibly sensitive and gentle and warm and smart and helpful.
Yeah.
And he makes beautiful speeches.
Oh, he does. You know, then you got to take on the iconic role of Princess Winifred in Transport Group's production of Once Upon a Mattress. I love this. I love this show. We were all brought up watching Carol Burnett do it on television and everything else. I'm not using that word again. How was that a dream role of yours to take on, Jackie?
It turned out to be. It wasn't at first because I didn't think it was in my wheelhouse. But then when I spent some time with it and made it mine, it was like a scenery chewing tour de force of my dreams, you know, because it really is a role meant for a clown, and you know, it just was kind of perfect.
Yeah. Well, you were brilliant in that. Just like I said, you had big shoes or a big mattress to fill, and you did it
to fill.
What? Okay, now you were known to legions of fans around the world for your wonderful work on television, specifically your Emmy-nominated role of Mamacita on Joan Crawford Stern and loyal assistant and a housekeeper on FX's Feud, Betty and Joan. Tell me what that role meant to you. I know life-changing. This has to be because that was a recurring role for you. You got to work with Jessica Lange. I mean, what was that whole time on Feud like for you?
Yeah, it was actually a regular role. My first regular role on a series. I made sure they wrote me into each one. It was, yeah, I mean, Jessica, I think she's just one of the greatest actresses of our age, one of the greatest living actresses we have, or even add up all the dead people, she's still one of the greatest actresses we have. I mean, I was just mesmerized by her. So it helped me tremendously in the relationship and with the character, you know. Then again, great, I have an accent, I have an incredible costume and like a $12,000 wig, you know. So I can't even.
I can only imagine what it must be like because I've interviewed her numerous times and she's a goddess to me. I think she's one of the finest actresses ever. She makes it all seem effortless because she becomes these people. And I know she works really hard at what she does to do this.
Yes. And Ryan didn't want like a campy Betty Joan, you know, and they both she and Susan totally played against it. And they were so, I mean, and Jessica was so complete and believable and real.
Yeah. Okay, now the last day of your filming, when they said, Jackie, that's a wrap for you, did you leave with a fabulous memento from the set?
Do you know this? Is that why you're asking me? Let me go get it. Now that we're in my living room.
Fabulous, I love this. I want one of these.
I took it off the chair. I was like, I'll just be taking this off the back of my chair with my name on it. For the first time, it doesn't say cast.
I was going to say, most of them say cast. That's a big deal. That's a really big deal.
Huge deal for me.
Okay, so you got to work with Ryan Murphy again on The Politician. Did they ask you to bring that back for your chair?
I didn't have a chair with a name on it in Politician, but I had a nice dressing room with a bathroom. So that's all that matters.
You could walk on the set and say, I had one of these on Feud.
Yeah, where's my chair?
How wonderful is it living in the world of Ryan Murphy? Because you've done it twice.
Thank God for him. I would say when it was straight males in Hollywood, they had no interest in me. And now that it's gay males in Hollywood, you know, there's hope. But yeah, I mean, bless them, you know.
Like I said, I watch repeats of Feud all the time. You were absolutely brilliant in that. Like I said, just to work with those people and to create those characters, and you were all on the same page. That's the interesting thing about that show. Everyone was on the same page in that. It was just absolutely brilliant. And I'm thrilled you have that up for your chair. One of my final questions is, what are you looking forward to the most about Sunday's concert?
Just a banter with Seth and getting to sing my own stuff. And I'm kind of like looking forward to the casualness of like doing something from a living room, you know. Hopefully it'll make me more comfortable and hopefully the sound will work.
Everything is going to be perfect. Kelly O'Hara kicked his series off. She said the first one was like those noises you made. She said it would come back, but that was early on. Seth has perfected all of this stuff. You know, they all are what they are. It's just you and him together making beautiful, I'm not using that word again, just putting it out there, what you all do. Next time you see me, you're gonna be like, oh, there's Richie Ridge, that magical word or whatever he uses.
Add in journey. Don't use journey.
Oh, I don't use journey, but I love magical because it's not, to me, this whole year has been about finding the magic in whatever we can.
Yeah.
Well, I want to remind our audience once again that Jackie will be live in concert with Seth Rudetsky this Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with a replay at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that night. Again, if you're a student, have an EDU email, go to Broadway World, get a student discount for this. The series is produced by Mark Cortali, sponsored by Broadway World and StreamYards. Tickets are available at Broadway World events and of course at Seth Concerts, and just type in Jackie's name. Jackie, this has been a dream. Like I said, I've known you since Hairspray, if not before.
I know, you haven't aged a bit.
Oh, it's all an illusion. It's all my collect lights too.
I'm thrilled to find out that Kelly O'Hara had a less than perfect moment. Makes my day.
Totally. Like I said, it's so great. Love to your husband. I cannot wait to see you in person. I will be there on Sunday. And we actually went through just about all of your career in the amount of time we had, didn't we?
Yes, you could have gone through it in a lot less. Thank you for stretching it out.
I love you. Take care, everybody. We'll see you Sunday at Jackie's concert. Take care.